Hey, what is up, guys? It is your boy Speed here, and we are back with 7 ultimates that people use entirely wrong. Casting spells in Dota is probably the hardest thing in the game. There are so many spells, so if you're trying a new hero, or even playing a hero you've played for 100 games, you're likely casting the spells at least somewhat wrong. And to be fair, I recently played a Terrorblade game yesterday, and I think I miscasted Sunder at least 80% of the time, and so this video will hopefully help me as well. But in all seriousness, if you guys could smash the like button, it would mean the world to me. Let's get this video to 1,500 likes, which is a lot, but I think we can do it. You know, after all, you guys have been supporting me a ton, so if you could help me smash the like button, it would mean the world. Also, you want to consider signing up to the Game Leap website? You know, I'd love to see you there. We have great, extra, often even better, and therefore you should sign up down below. Click the link right now, and I hope to see you guys there. But let's get into our first ultimate ability, which is Chakram. And this spell is just, it's upsetting how people use it, because like a lot of ultimates, people feel like, oh, it's my ultimate. I need to save it for very specific purposes. I need to use it at this exact time. Otherwise, I'm wasting my long cooldown spell. Well, newsflash, Timbersaw's Chakram is not like that. Timbersaw is a very hard hero. It's largely in part of the fact that the hero's win rate in pubs, especially low MR pubs, is usually not as high as I think it should be for skill reasons. And for Chakram, guys, when you hit level 6, if you have your Soul Ring, or your Stick, or your Mana Boots, whatever your meta item is, start spamming the Chakram. The key to winning is Timber, and I've seen this over time. I've seen it with my own games and other people's games. I will spam Chakram, which will in turn allow me to get solo kills, which will in turn let me get towers. But the average player, what they do is they try to close the gap with their W, then Q, then Chakram. Just yeet the Chakram. Just throw it at them, push in the wave, throw the Chakram at them, then the wave will naturally shove under their tower whether or not you're in the offlane or the mid lane. They'll hopefully be low HP, assuming you connect with the Chakram. It will be obviously off cooldown by the time the wave pushes in. If not, you know, you've already used it twice, and then you can kill them. You guys kind of see what I'm going for here, what I'm trying to recommend you do. Get it off CD. And frankly, I'm going to say this for a lot of ultimates. It's one of the biggest misconceptions of Dota, which is, I have an ultimate, I have to be very careful with it. Most of the time, if you want to become better and better, learn to freely use your ultimates for 1, maybe 2 kills if you're lucky. It's good. And Chakram is definitely a huge case of that. Next up is Thunder God's Wrath. Now you might be saying, Speed, how could you possibly mess up a spell that's simply a global nuke? Do you mean just casting it too early? No, it has actually nothing to do with killing people. There's actually a lot of value in Thunder God's Wrath, which you can see if you go back to certain TI games. Thompson would often ulti, I believe he was TI 8, in the Grand Finals game. Wait, the last game, pretty sure it was Game 5 against LGD. Thompson was playing Zeus, and he would ultimate at the start of the fight. And you might be like, why would he do that? It doesn't kill anybody. He wasn't even in static field range, right? So his passive doesn't even get the benefit. Why would he do that? Vision. Vision is everything in the mid to late game. Warding, vision, etc. is everything. Your ulti even can expose wards, if I'm not mistaken. You guys could correct me on that. It's kind of one of those weird interactions. But nonetheless, you can give vision, and you can also cancel blink daggers. So let's say you see your PA is split pushing top, and you get a glimpse of an Earthshaker approaching the PA. You can ultimate to cancel the blink. You can literally click it to cancel the blink. But most importantly, Zeus dies easily, right? Zeus dies easily, so you need to play around other heroes. Literally, your hero just needs to stay alive and he'll do damage. So use your ultimate to stay alive. You'll do a lot more damage than saving it to get extra static field damage. It's Ropyre. Chikiro's Macro Pyre is one of those abilities that it's awkward. It's a very awkward spell. You know, you have to line it up with the Ice Path half the time, or you have to synergize with someone else. It's just weird. It has a very, very long cast animation. It's easy to miss. And so what should you do with Macro Pyre? What you should do with Macro Pyre is a couple main things. So number 1, shove waves. Guys, it's a 60-second cooldown. Use it to push out waves, especially if an enemy team is pushing a tier 1 tower of yours, and you are playing Jakiro. TP in, even if you know you are going to die. TP in, especially if it is the mid tier 1. TP in, throw down the Macro Pyre on the creep wave, and the push is over. It's done. If they dive you, they also might have to walk through the Macro Pyre. Then they also have to walk through your Q and your W. You're going to waste an unbelievable amount of time, and set up a situation where your team can counter-initiate if they so desire. That is a great play. The second thing I want to say about Macrofire is don't be afraid to use it on one hero to burst them. Similar to a spell like Disruptor's Ultimate, which is Static Storm, it's okay to use it on one person. Sometimes these spells are very clunky, they're very hard to use, and it's totally okay to secure the first kill of the fight by simply dropping it down. Once again, Macrofire is clunky, so if someone gets stunned at the start of the fight, just yeet the fire down. It's fine, unless you have a spell like Chrono, right? If you have a spell like Chrono, maybe you want to save it, try to synergize with that Chrono. Obviously, that can be the exception. Next up on the list, we have Winter's Curse. Now, this is easily one of the most confusing abilities in Dota. I would even be willing to argue that Winter's Curse is the hardest ability to use in Dota. The options on this ability are insane. Like, literally, you can solo use it on someone who's BKB just to burn a BKB duration. Let's say it's a PA who's popping off. It's late game, 5-second BKB. You can Winter's Curse her to burn the entire duration, right? That's an option. You can use it to save your teammates. If your teammate is getting gunned on, you can Winter's Curse just to force everyone around him to attack their teammate, right? Stall. You can use it to solo kill people if there is a Sven next to an IO. You can ult the IO to kill him. In the contrary, you could, in that case, let's say you want to set up, right? You're playing Wyvern and you have a Sand King, and you want to make sure you can follow up with the Sand King stun. Then, in that same exact scenario where you would usually ult the IO, you would ult the Sven, just to stall for longer, right? Because if the IO dies, the Winter Curse ends, and therefore your follow-up might not be able to get there in time. Winter's Curse is confusing. So, honestly, I hope with that explanation that I just gave, I gave some clarity. I think even in the points I literally just mentioned it should help. But really the main thing about Curse is if your teammates need to be saved, use it. If you feel like you can set up with it, use it. My main tip for Winter's Curse is use it early as possible, especially when your teammates are in the area, but not necessarily on top of the enemy team. The reason why I say that, you know, where you use it when they're in the area, is because it's a really good setup tool, and I think this is how generally it's used best. If you can initiate a fight by solo killing a support, or cursing, you know, let's say a Crystal Maiden when she's next to a Bloodseeker, that is the optimal way to start a fight. However, let's say your team gets jumped, you got smoke ganked, or, you know, someone's just messing up as per usual, then you can Winter's Curse to save them. Just use it early. That's my best suggestion, and focus on your other spells. Next up, we have Coup de Grace, PA's ultimate. Now you might be saying, Coup de Grace speed? How can I be using that spell wrong? Guys, you don't understand. You don't understand. You don't get it, alright? You don't get it. It's pseudo-random, so you should be prepping your crit. Come on. Players these days, they don't even know about that. They don't even know about pseudo-random chance. But let me show you. Let me give you a quick demonstration. So getting into our example here, Coup de Grace is a 15% chance to crit. 15%, right? Now you might be saying speed, that means every single attack is a 15% chance to crit. But that's actually not true. Now I don't have the exact numbers here, but basically every time you don't get a crit, your odds of getting a crit increase, right? So I'll give you a quick example. These aren't the legit numbers, but let's say it was 15% on the first attack. You don't get it, right? The next attack will be 23% or 33%. Then the next one will be 50% if you don't get a crit. And then if you do get a crit, it resets back to 15%. So basically what you can do, let's say I want to kill this axe right here, and this is a creep, right? This is, you know, he's a creepy guy, he's a creep. I can hit him a couple times and I say, okay, I didn't get a crit for 4 auto attacks. That means one of my next attacks will likely be a crit. And then you can see after 9 auto attacks, I did not get a crit. So now this one is basically guaranteed to be a crit. There you go, 2 auto attacks and a crit. Now obviously it's still a percentage based thing, but once again, you can sort of just do this with bashes, you can do it with Coup de Grace. And I know this is a bit of a meme, but to some extent, it's actually sort of true. You can kind of predict when you're gonna get a crit. Not too well, but somewhat well. Next up we have Sunder on Terrorblade. And this is an ability that is just, you know, people kind of forget the uses. So Sunder has 2 main uses that need to be used better. Right? Now, everyone knows, okay, you sunder your opponent when you need to sunder them, right? So, if there's an OD next to you, you're 50% HP, or you're 30% HP, and he's 100, you sunder him, right? Well, there's 2 more uses for Sunder that need to be used more frequently, and what those uses are number 1, using it on your illusions. Yes, you can sunder a Terrorblade illusion. So if you are dying, you can literally sunder one of your illusions. Let's say it just for whatever reason hasn't taken any damage, or you intentionally left it to the left of you, right? Maybe you knew for a fact that a Jug was going to try to gank you and solo kill you, and he's going to spin to prevent you from sundering at the perfect moment. Well, what you can do is intentionally leave a Terrorblade illusion in the trees, right? Then when you get gone on, you can sunder your full HP Terrorblade illusion and completely heal up. And the second one, which is much more common than the example I just gave, is sundering your teammates. This is very useful ever since it got changed where you cannot sunder BKB targets. You know, there are other examples for it as well, but because you can't sunder through BKB anymore, basically you have to. If you were getting gone on by, let's say, a BKB Sven and none of his teammates are close, you have to sunder either an illusion or one of your teammates to keep yourself alive. Let's say there's a Skywrath Mage support who's getting blown up every fight anyway, just sunder him, it's totally fine. And finally, last but not least, is Pugna's Life Drain. And I have a couple of tips here that could prevent you from using it incorrectly or not enough. First one is it's a 7-second cooldown. Just use it. You want to harass someone in the mid lane? Use it. You want to get your HP back up and there's a creep camp nearby? Use it. You need a little bit of mana because, you know, you need some mana, because Pugna needs mana, and you happen to be full HP, right? By the way, Life Drain gives you mana if you are already full HP. Suck off the enemy mid laner. It's gonna work. Just do it. But finally, last but not least, the last tip is really using it on your teammates. This is something that just, really, I often see only primarily Pugna, like Pugna spammers doing, or high-tier Pugnas. And it's just, you know, life draining your teammates. Yesterday I was playing a Terrorblade game, funny enough, and I had a Pugna on my team, and literally I would drop my items. He would tell me to backpack my items. I would backpack my items, then he would life drain me. It would give me full HP, full mana, basically instantly, right? It would cost him very little HP, and it would give me full resources, and it would allow me to stay on the map, continue to split push, and frankly, that's kind of broken. It's really, really good. And yeah, for that reason, I even think Pugna's support is a little bit underrated. It got nerfed like 18 times in a row, so it's to be expected that, you know, it's not as popular now. But hey, using Life Drain to keep people alive and give them full resources is criminally underused. And I hope you guys also like the like button. Use the like button so that I can get more likes on this video and continue to produce daily content. But thank you guys for watching. I hope to see you in the next one, and peace. Before you leave, just want to say a quick message. If you're trying to get better at Dota or you just enjoyed that video, I know this is pretty general and you're going to hear this quite a bit from me, but I recommend you sign up to GameLink.com. Why? Because I put a lot of effort into the content over there, and generally the effort I do there is different from the content you're going to see here on YouTube. It is different. In fact, I usually go a lot more in depth on topics or into niche topics that help you get to the next level even faster, because on YouTube, I often have to keep it more mainstream, and that's even why I'm putting it at the end of this YouTube video. That's why this is at the end, because a lot of people just watch 5 minutes, they skip through just for like the dopamine spike. But if you are interested in actually getting better at Dota, I recommend you go to the description down below, get your discount right now by clicking the link, sign up, use the discount code that you're going to see there, and I hope to see you there right now, so click it, and yeah, thanks for watching.